What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles, welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. 2024 just got really interesting. We're not quite at June yet, but things are heating up. And it's not just a two-horse race anymore between G.I. Joe Classified Series and Marvel Legends in the midst of an epic comeback. Just pick these guys up today. The Iron Man Retro Wave, really classic, great looking figures. We're also getting Star Wars Black Series. They've decided to wake up and give us some much needed prequel characters. Transformers, rolling along, still getting some figures that I need. I mean, it's they're never going to be like all the others just because there's so many different elements and fan bases of Transformers I just don't care about. But I'm not hating. I feel like good on everybody else who loves robots in disguise, Transformers, whatever, Armada, all those different names that I don't know about outside of G1. Y'all are getting great figures too. But there's a company that I feel like I have neglected in this conversation that has been demanding to enter the chat all year long. Of course, I'm talking about McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line. Just continuing to bring out more and more really strong figures. You know, around January, February, it's like, oh, look, that was a cool figure. But as we're now wrapping up May, it's kind of become clear to me that they've put out enough figures that they need to be in this conversation of strongest toy line of 2024. And I'm not going all the way and saying they're going to be number one by the time the year's over. They're going to be number one. They're going to stomp out G.I. Joe Classified Series. They're going to dust off Marvel Legends. All I'm saying is they're going to make it really interesting. And by the time it's done, when I do an overall top 10 figures of 2024, I got a sneaky suspicion there's going to be more than a couple DC Multiverse figures in this mix. Now, if you've been kind of wavering and on the fence, going like, yeah, but they're not 6-inch scale. They don't have all the hyper articulation of G.I. Joe Classified Series, of Marvel Legends. But I'm getting more and more curious about these figures. Are they as bad as some people make them out to be? Are they better than some people are saying they are? Great opportunity to pick up some really good figures because some that I think could be on that year-end list are included on this Target sale right now where it's crazy. The JLA wave where you can get that Build-A-Figure Plastic Man figure in addition to anything else basically right now. Big toy sale going on at Target, one of my affiliates, $24.99 figures, and that includes McFarlane Build-A-Figure waves, the regular G.I. Joe Classified Series, Star Wars Black Series, Marvel Legends figures right now are $17.49. Mattel's WWE line's even cheaper, so time to grab that Captain Lou Albano Legends figure, Ultimate Edition Legends Yokozuna figure. Just a lot of really good stuff. But if you've been wavering, I think this JLA wave is a really strong set of characters, barring that Batman that's just using the wrong buck. This Aquaman figure is really good. Now, you're not going to be able to try these out from Target.com. Right now, they're all sold out. But if you happen to stumble onto your store and see them, John Stewart, Superman, Electric Red and Blue, or Blue, I think you'll be impressed with these figures. And if you've been collecting other lines and haven't been to Target yet, it's time to get there because a lot of great stuff and things that I was like, well, they're not going to have any big sales until later. It's Memorial Day weekend. Big sales are here, and go get these figures because a lot of good stuff to get. Now, Geek Portal revealed some more McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse figures that are on the way, en route, and very exciting figures. Now, this is funny because normally the thing that I've been saying about McFarlane Toys as of late is it's not just Batman and Superman anymore. I feel like that could be their tagline for their social media. McFarlane Toys, DC Multiverse. It's not just Batman and Superman. But this league lineup has a bunch of Batman figures, and it's just kind of unavoidable. I think for the most part, they make sense. Yes, I would love to see a greater variety, but I feel like they've been doing that really well with the DC Direct figures. We got a classic Green Lantern, pretty good Aquaman. We got what seems to be a definitive version of Adam. a really nice Longbow Hunters Green Arrow, Our World at War Superman. So they're really delivering a nice variety. And of course, cannot overstate enough how impressive it is that McFarlane Toys has given us an ambush bug figure this year. That's crazy. It just, one of the things I would not have expected to have on my bingo card of figures coming out this year list. And he is also part of this sale where you can actually get him cheaper than the Build-A-Figure waves because he's only $22.99. So you can get Ambush Bug via pre-order. And I love that Target includes the pre-order figures on these big sales. It's not just in stock items only. So you can get Ambush Bug, a figure who knew was actually going to come ever. And now he's here and you can get him for $16.09. Now he might get down to clearance price later. So if you're not feeling sold on getting him, you might be able to get away with waiting. But let's talk about these figures that Geek Portal revealed through their socials. And let's break them down because there's some exciting figures coming around. First up is the Rebirth version of Cyborg. We've only seen him from McFarlane Toys with that Flashpoint gigantic Build-A-Figure. Now we're getting a regular height, regular size Cyborg. My favorite look for him is the original George Perez design. I just like seeing, the black dude showing some of the black skin and not this black color here from this. I think of all the updated outfits that Cyborg has had over the years, this is probably the best one. It's far more streamlined and it kind of looks like a costume with the black striped spandex type sections here. Now this is probably more of a Colossus scaling with the armor setup, but it looks good. So I'm really looking forward to this one. We don't have a lot of that Rebirth Justice League team as of yet, so this is a good addition. We've got a Superman, we've got a Batman, of course, and we've got an Aquaman, and I guess you could fudge Wonder Woman in there. And the John Stewart that we got earlier, I think works and makes more sense here. We got a Flash figure, so Cyborg was overdue. We finally have him. I think at this point, we also have basically the whole new 52 version of the Justice League. So there you go. Here's Cyborg right here. So there's Cyborg, really solid addition, and I'm glad to see him coming onto the line. Now here's one I was not expecting, but this opens up so many possibilities. And we've seen some rumored leak lists also mention some other Justice Society, the All-Star Squadron figures coming. And here's another one. And I'm very excited about this one, Commander Steel. And it says JSA. Now, Commander Steel was basically around back in the 80s with the All-Star Squadron. Core Charter, remember that team? I love his costume. It's a really sharp take on that patriotic red, white, and blue color scheme. I like the sheen Alex Ross provided on this one. And when Jeff Johns restarted his JSA run, he included Commander Steel in this team. For me, if we get this look, he's Hank from back in the day fighting the Ratsies and fighting the rest of the Axis powers alongside Johnny Quick, Liberty Bell, Shining Knight, Amazing Man. And I love this dude's costume. His power set was pretty cool. And if we do get this figure, he absolutely must have a chase figure. There's no denying, no debating. And it's got to be his grandson, Hank Steel. And because you can see right here, their outfits are pretty similar. And the way they do the chase figures, they don't mind doing some repainting as needed. And it's basically the same look. He just doesn't have the fin here that Commander Steel has. And you got to do a little bit of repainting, but I don't think there's anything so major. You check the legs for like kind of the biggest difference. But I think this is something that's a very strong possibility. And of course, if you get a chase variant of Steel, which way do you go with? Do you go with this version where you got the red head showing? I wouldn't mind if he got a separate head so we could actually have this look too. So we can have the full team, Justice League Detroit, Martian Manhunter, Zatanna, Elongated Man, Gypsy, Vixen, and Vibe. I mean, we kind of like this team. They were nowhere near the high quality power set of the Satellite era team, but they were a cool squad, and I kind of enjoyed reading their exploits before they got decimated during Legends. So I'm taking this Steel and adding him to two teams, the All-Star Squadron, the modern JSA, and then if I get a chase, there's a third team to throw him on. We've already got a Martian Manhunter, but we still need way more of that Justice League Detroit team. I guess we already have Aquaman too, but we need Zatanna, Vixen, Vibe, Gypsy. That team isn't too big to complete. I would really like to get them just because I thought they were a fun team of Justice League members. And, you know, I feel like that's one where he could do a four-figure set, maybe do Elongated Man as the builder figure, and there we go. So I can see that. We get Vixen, we get Vibe, we get Steel, and Zatanna. And we got our builder figure Elongated Man, and there we go. So got Steel coming. I'm very excited about that because he has such a cool costume, and I can't wait to see what they do with this version. So next up is a guy, this kind of starts the Batman role that they're going on for a minute. Red Hood. We've gotten several Red Hood figures over the years, and his outfits haven't really stuck. It seems like they keep chasing on some variation of the hood, the mask, and trying to make sense of where they want to go from there. I kind of like the Red Hoods and Outlaws look the most for him, but this one doesn't look terrible. It looks like he's hanging with a varsity football team. I'm just not that interested in what they've done with the character. I like when he was teaming up with the Suicide Squad with Task Force Z, but there are lots of looks they can go with for Jason, and I don't hate this look. I mean, it kind of looks cool with this red mask in terms of the shirt setup. He's got the crowbars, which I still think is weird, but I like the way they're incorporating the hood and the mask. Hopefully that articulation wouldn't be limited if they went with this modern look for Jason. And I wonder if they'd incorporate or include some of his team with this new version. So there you go. Modern Red Hood coming, joining the line for everybody who might still need to get a Jason Todd in their collection. Next up is a variant that I think makes sense. We're not getting the variant before the classic look. So I'm all on board with this one. And you already know the base body they're more likely to use with Parallax Sinestro. You can see in the background, he's fighting Power Ring. This is part of the Forever Evil arc, which was really good. This is when I started to go, hey, you know what? Maybe the New 52 era isn't so bad. It was a really good storyline, and I thought they did just a great job with it. Nowadays, you can kind of assume we're going to get this cape in soft goods format because Ty's really experimenting with that with his figures, and it's a really cool, sleek look for Sinestro. And I think this would be a nice addition. They're probably going to use the parallax mode that they've already done. So, they've already done it with Power Ring, the John Stewart version, and we got the original parallax. And I don't see why they wouldn't do it again here. Now, maybe they'll do a few tweaks to the sculpt, but I wouldn't hate them reusing that and giving that little streak of white in his hair. I think that makes a lot of sense for him, and it would be cool. Next up is the one he's done so many times, but it's from my favorite book of DC, Batman, Superman, World's Finest. I'll give you 3 clues as to which character I'm talking about. It's in the title, and Superman doesn't count. So, of course, that means it's Batman. Now, we've seen a ton of Batman figures, so I can only guess we're going to see this version based on Dan Mora's artwork. And again, if you're not reading this, if you haven't read it, I can't recommend World's Finest strongly enough. Feels like such a classic throwback comic book, and it's excellent. They've just not have bad issues. Mark Waid, Dan Mora, colorist Tamara Bonvillain, awesome stuff. I was trying to figure out where they could go with this look. This is pretty close to the Nightfall Batman, and I feel like that has to be the mold they go with. The utility belt is different, and this cape is a little bit more of a V situation going here than the Nightfall look, which you can't see at this point in time as I'm doing some revisions, but you can see the belt is different. Maybe they'll change the coloring with this, maybe give him a darker gray, maybe a toned down different color blue, eventually another Hal Jordan, and a cloth cape Superman add to this mix too. But I would really like to see what they do with this figure, because I love World's Finest, and I would totally be on board getting a Dan Mora version of him. And speaking of Batman, because he can't stop, he won't stop. we got a Frank Quietly Grant Morrison version of Batman, aka Dick Grayson, and that's kind of cool. I would love a better version of Damian than the one that we have already. It's just a terrible figure, can't stand, poor articulation. And I don't feel like this line is just specializing in terrible, awful articulation. But the Damian figures have been really bad and too tall and just they're terrible. So if we can get another version, preferably in a two pack with Dick as the Batman, that would be great. And this book was a lot of fun too. And I would totally be on board getting these two. And you can see there's some really obvious distinctions with the Dick Grayson Batman outfit, the boots, little bit bulkier, baggier. The utility belt's totally different. And you know, they could use a smaller, slender buck just so we can show that distinction between the Bruce and the Dick version of Batman. And here's another look. He's got these gauntlets, which are not as long as the traditional Batman gloves. Didn't have too exaggerated the spikes along the side. Maybe they could do Batman smiling. That would work just fine for this version of him. And you can see a better shot of how that utility belt looks. Wouldn't mind getting Donna Troy in her Starfield costume while we're at it. So there you go. And one that's not an Amazon size. I guess I should clarify and specify that because the other one we have is just massive, even for an Amazon. So then we've got, you guessed it, another Batman figure coming up this time from Dark Knight Returns. And you know, Todd loves this. So this look was just a matter of time, really. It's gonna be battle damaged with the blue outfit, probably based on this cover look here. Uh, you know, he's going to include the details with the slashes, with the rips in the outfit. I don't think that's a bad thing for all the Dark Knight Return heads. This should be a pretty cool version. I just don't know if Todd could really equal what Mayfex did. Now, this is not a battle damage look, but this figure is awesome. And Mayfex just killed it with this whole deal. He's so big, bulky, hulking over, really captures that Frank Miller style. And you see the different looks with the different head sculpts. I mean, that's a Frank Miller Batman. And, you know, it doesn't have the ripped, shredded body, but boy, you can't really touch this figure. It also came with a Robin figure too. So I don't know. I feel like if you really wanted to get a Dark Knight Returns Batman figure, maybe the McFarlane Toys is not the best way to get it. There have been several companies that have knocked this look out. And I feel like Mayfex really is head and shoulders above everybody else. But, you know, I understand preferences and lines. And it's not like he's cheap. So there you go. Now we're moving on to the collector's edition. This is the same line that we're seeing with the Captain Boomerang, the Starfire, an amazing penguin that's out now. I see a lot of people are posting their pictures of Starfire and the different variations of her. Not so much penguin yet, but whatever. The first name mentioned on this from Geek Portal is Huntress. Huntress has a ton of looks. There's so many different costumes that they could go with, but I feel like this line is kind of skewed a little bit more to a whatever era we want to do, not era. And I kind of think this would be a fun one to do, and one based on existing parts that Todd could do easier. Maybe incorporate some elements from this figure to a Catwoman Silver Age look. This is based on the Earth 2 Justice Society Batman and Huntress figures. But I would really like to see this look. Brian Bolland, of course, always makes anything look cooler, and this outfit looks great. This is what she was rocking during Crisis on Infinite Earth. So bonus, you can get another character from that setup too. So you can see her homage to both Catwoman and Batman with her attire. The purple, pink, there you go, reflected there, and then the blue cape with the points down at the bottom for Batman, and then the horns kind of tips for that mask piece. But we got that as an option. Then of course there's the infamous Jim Lee Hush version. I say infamous with quotation marks, of course, but this one's going to require a lot more detail. And we know that McFarlane's not afraid to do that detail work, but it's going to require a lot more sculpting than that first version of Huntress I showed you. So this one, definitely a contender. But there are so many other looks for her, and I'm really kind of going, which way would he go? I feel like maybe the fully clothed version might make more sense just because not the Earth 2 version, but just the standard basic one that they're trying to do now, because there's some variant possibilities with that look. Let's see if I can pull that one up so you can get a better look of what I'm talking about. Always prepared here on this show. But here's a look at that outfit that I was telling you about just a moment ago. This one fully covered. It's a cool outfit too. Now you can incorporate those knee pads from the Hush version with this figure, the belt. This one looks really cool. The gloves are the same or basically the same. So there's an option. Maybe they could do the Hush one and do this as the Chase. It should be a lot of just repainting, not a lot of new sculpting based off of that one. So that's a possibility as well. And you know, Todd loves his Chase figure, so there is definitely an option on that end. Next up from Geek Portal's lineup of figures coming from this rumored list, it's Green Lantern, Green Lantern Corps. Now, there's no specific Green Lantern because there's a million of them. Who could it be now? Is it Solid? Is it a classic Kilowog? Sodom Yacht? Maybe Orisa? We've got Kyle Rayner, but we don't have him in this specific look. And then there's Green Man, there's Stealth. But I mean, the guy I've got to choose here is just Guy Gardner. He's going to rage out like I am if we don't get him soon. We've gotten lots of members already of the JLI. Kind of got a Shazam. We've definitely got Martian Manhunter, got Batman, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold. Guy Gardner is one of those synonymous names with this era of the team. And I'd love to see him because he also has a very sensible, really easy variant choice to do that color palette swap where, yeah, there's some changes to the sculpt for the boots, namely, but I think a lot of people would not be too upset about it if we can get this variant. And that's a very easy repaint of that classic Guy Gardner design. This time he's rocking a Sinestro ring, so you need to make sure that that ring is yellow, not green. But there you go. So that makes a lot of sense because, you know, he loves to chase the options for people to get some different variations of a figure, and you essentially get 2-in-1 with that one. Next up is a pretty surprising one. I think it's cool. Jonah Hex with the General, and the General is his horse. And every company wants to take their crack at Jonah Hex, largely so they can do this whole face deal with the skin peeling off right in front of his, or being, you know, just the wacky, creepy visual of the skin connected down to the bottom lip. You see the teeth. It's wild. And we've got a horse now. I think the last one was the Build-A-Figure horse in the Dark Knight Returns wave. Sure, it's just going to be a reuse of that, but it's going to be a lot easier for people to build a stable of horses with this 2-pack. So I think that one's going to prove probably a little bit more popular than just on the general name of it that people are thinking, you know, in terms of how it's going to sell. Next up is one that I'm not quite sure about because we've already gotten this one. It's the Joker Dragon from Dark Knight's Metal. Now we've gotten this figure. We've literally seen the Joker Dragon from McFarlane already, and it's $29.99. It's still there on Amazon, so it's not like, oh man, it's sold out. It's so popular. I feel like at this point, a lot of people kind of moved on from Dark Knight's Metal, including DC, where there's not a lot of traces of that in their stories anymore. And I don't know if we really needed the dragon again, but there it goes. That he's on the list at least. Now, maybe that's just an old rumor, whatever, but we'll see. Then we've got a really cool one, more Batman figures. It's Alfred, Michael Go. Now, the cool thing here is they've done a lot of Batman movies already. We've gotten a Batman Forever, gotten a Batman and Robin wave, and the same Alfred, the same actor who plays Batman from the first Michael Keaton one, to Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, Michael Go. So now you've got an Alfred that can work with all of your other Batman figures, and that's really cool. And he definitely needed a figure because of just his longevity in the franchise. He is coming packed with the Batman Forever Batmobile, and I love this whole shell look to it. It's a really unique looking Batmobile. Definitely one where if you line up a mass collection of Batmobiles, it would even stand out among some of those other ones. And definitely one that I'm kind of interested in, even though I didn't love the movie. I do think this looks cool. Excuse me. And you got the option to get Alfred with it. Now there's a separate setup where you just get the Batmobile by itself, but I feel like the one with Alfred is just going to be such an easy sell simply because he works with all of your Batman figures before Christian Bale. And then that's the rumored leak lineups, but there was one that was revealed over the weekend and one we got the promotional photos for today. And this figure looks incredible. It looks amazing. Starts off all kinds of questions. Are we going to get a superpowers line from McFarlane Toys? And if so, how soon? And how many figures are we going to see from it? We got this amazing Darkseid mega fig coming, and this guy is, whoa, he's incredible. He's got the width. He looks big, he looks massive, chunky, just the way Jack Kirby drew him. And pretty much looks like the superpowers version because he's got the big D medallion right there. Soft goods, wired cloak or cape. Curious, can't see if this is removable, so we can get a classic look. I think either way, I'm fine. I'm gonna get this figure for sure. Darkseid's up for pre-order tomorrow. They've only listed select retailers, but the word on the social media streets, Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, maybe Amazon, maybe Target too, will have them. Either way, I'm getting this guy. Looks incredible. Can't wait to see him mashed up against the Justice League. This is why we need more New Gods figures, Todd. We need that Orion, preferably not that goofy superpowers design. We need Mr. Miracle, Big Barda, Light Ray, the Infinite Man, the whole gang, High Father, a better classic looking version of Calabac, Dazad, Steppenwolf, Mantis, so on. It's so on and so on. Granted goodness, Kato. There's so many. There's a Kano. So many characters from this era that we need. Here's another shot. We got the glowing red Omega. I'm about to unleash my Omega blast at you. I'd love to see if there's another part that you can throw in here where we actually get the zigzag. That would be cool. But you can see the detail work here on his skin. So it's got the crackly edges and jarred points. So it looks really great. And I just love how beefy he looks. Like he's not going down with 10 Superman punches. It was really, really solid, really great. And I'm can't wait to get that pre-order in tomorrow because I'm sure he's going to come out to us very soon after that. But I think Darkseid is going to be in this conversation for best figure of the year, along for sure with this Hal Jordan. And there are a couple other ones, Hook Hand Aquaman, that seem like they're going to be in this conversation coming into the year. What are you thinking about McFarlane Toys right now? Are you more optimistic? Are you still like, nah, you're doing the Drake meme of I'm not messing with these figures. They're not 6 inches. I need more Marvel Legends style articulation. For those of you who are getting on board, I think this is a really good time to get into the line, go back and get some of those figures you missed. Amazon has a lot for cheap, and I think this line is going to continue to go up, all the way up. So we'll see where it goes, but I'm really liking what they're doing so far. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. And I'll be back on, as usual, for the Thursday Night Live and Wednesday night with the crew on Lyle's Movie Files. For now, this episode of Lyle's Figure Files has been filed.